Hi, everyone. I'm Paul at the Garland County Library, and I'm here again with Mary Zunick, who's the Hot Springs Sister City Program Director, and Jesse Gutman, who's the Coordinator and Translator at the Hanamaki Office of International Relations. And tonight's program is episode 6 in our virtual Hot Springs Hanamaki Sister City discussion series, and it's advertised as the series finale, but in many ways I think it's better to look at it as a season finale because I've been talking to Mary and Jesse here, and we're planning to bring you some more content with the intent of teaching you more about Japanese culture in general, so you can expect more videos in the future. We're going to take a quick break after tonight in August, but hopefully in September or October we'll have at least one more live stream scheduled, but if not more, hopefully more. So welcome Mary and Jesse.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us on again, Paul. I know, and thanks for opening up this series and just giving us this opportunity to virtually connect with our sister city. Every year, we have multiple delegations of students and adults and teachers and city employees who travel back and forth between Hot Springs and Hanamaki, but thanks to the impact of COVID, that has not happened this year. In fact, I'm sure everybody out there has been following along, or most folks, with the Olympics and all of the changes that have had to happen because of the Olympics. I was actually in Hanamaki, or in visiting Japan and in Hanamaki, when the fact that the Olympics would be hosted in Japan several years ago. And there was so much excitement and anticipation looking forward to those Olympics. And so, we've all been impacted by COVID-19 in many, many different ways, people with health, and certainly plans that we have had made for years. With students traveling, I have students who were supposed to have gone last year who still haven't been able to go because of COVID-19. So I speak for myself, and I know many, many other people here in Hot Springs and across our country, in that our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to the people of Japan for all of the preparation and excitement and anticipation that went into planning the 2020 Olympics. And our gratitude from around the world for all that they have done to enable these athletes to still come together for the Olympics. Hanamaki was actually selected as an Aragato host city. So I mentioned this to Jesse earlier. Would you mind explaining what an Aragato host city is and how Hanamaki was going to be a part of the Olympics?
Sure. Yeah, so basically prior to 2020, we of course knew that we were going to be hosting the Olympics in Japan. So the national government set up this kind of national program where cities throughout Japan could sign up basically to be an Arigato host town. And Arigato, of course, for those who don't know, it's pretty well known nowadays, but it means thank you in Japanese. And a lot of the feelings that went in towards this whole initiative around the country were basically giving thanks, appreciation for all of the support that Japan received from its friends overseas during the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake. So that's kind of where the name originates from. And of course, us here in Hanamaki, we received a lot of support, not only financially, but of course, emotionally, from all of our friends in our sister cities. Hanamaki has many sister cities. Of course, Hot Springs is one of our most active, biggest sister cities. And we got a lot of donations and well wishes from Hot Springs during that time. And so we decided to sign up to be one of those host towns, and we were selected as one of them. And when I say host town, I just want to make clear, it's not like we're like hosting games here or anything. These Arigato host towns are basically for for the athletes and for visitors who would come and watch the games. We would be there afterwards, after the games, to welcome them and hold exchange events, have food for them and stuff like that. So it was originally set up to be like that, but of course with COVID-19, a lot of those plans ended up not being possible. With that said, we are still an Arigato host town, and so are the other ones that were selected. And so we're doing our best to do stuff online and make videos and have these video chats with each other, with our U.S. friends, and we're also a host town for not only the U.S. but also Austria, because one of our other big sister cities is Erndorf in Austria. So that's the story behind that.
Well, great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Hanamaki has extended so much hospitality over the years to not only visitors from our sister city here in Hot Springs, but as you mentioned, from people all around the world who come to Hot Springs. And I thought it was such a nice gesture that people would be invited not to just to Tokyo, a huge metropolitan area for the Olympics, but to actually kind of how I look at it is to experience true Japan, where people were just normal people who are going to work every day and have lived for generations and generations, and to be able to travel and experience life in Hanamaki. So thank you to the people in Hanamaki for being able to, for offering to do that, and for sharing the culture with us virtually, since we can't come there in person. So
sure.
Last time you worked so hard to put together scores of pictures, hundreds of pictures from the last several years, and so we made it part of the way through that in the program last month. So Jesse is going to continue the trip down, well, memory lane for me, but for many other people who travel to Hanamaki. And if you haven't traveled to Hanamaki, one day we will be able to resume the exchange programs, and we will be able to send students and have adult delegations and business delegations, and hopefully arts exchanges and music exchanges. So for those of you out there, if you haven't been yet, keep it on your list, because there will be an opportunity in the future. So, okay, Jesse, let's look at some more photos.
Sure, yeah. All right, I'm gonna pop into full screen here, excuse me.
And while you're doing that, I'm just going to throw in here that I have never been to Hanamaki in the winter, so I'm excited about these first images from 2020.
Well, I only have a few of them, but I do take photos every winter, so there might be some more scattered out throughout here. But yeah, so basically last time we left off right before we made it to 2015 winter. Again, just for those who are tuning in for the first time, what I mentioned last time is I've got tens of thousands of photos over the last 10 years or so. I have tried to at my best to cull them down into the most interesting ones, but we're still not going to make it through all of the ones that I stopped adding them, but I know we're not going to have enough time to get through all of them today. So unless we do a long show, but we'll see. So with that said, yeah, 2015 winter. And this first shot here is just, there's a road that overlooks the city that I like to take shots during every season from, because you can just kind of see this whole cityscape with all, like, you know, the houses and stuff. And in winter, of course, covered in snow. And this, I think you can probably recognize what this is, Mary. If you've stayed at Grand Ciel, of course you've seen this. This is the train station, Hanamaki train station, taken in winter. This is at a local shrine. I believe it's a shrine just outside of City Hall is where I took this. And yeah, even in winter, some of you might know this, but whenever you go to a shrine, there's usually this kind of fountain area where you can go to wash your hands before you come in.
And now for those out there that are watching, there are just shrines kind of dotted all over the city and the countryside too, these shrines that are—
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Shrines.
Yeah, there's shrines and temples all over the place. And the shrines are kind of, for me, who's lived here for so long, it's just a normal thing of, you know, when I walk to work, it's not like I pay much attention to it anymore. It's just kind of, you see a mixture of old and new buildings all the time here. And speaking of which, this shot that I'm on right now is actually a part of Hanamaki Castle. Hanamaki Castle does, of course, not exist as it used to originally. City Hall, the current City Hall where I'm actually streaming from right now, is on the site of where Hanamaki Castle used to be. But there's still parts of it that were preserved. And this is like kind of an old gatehouse that's somewhat nearby here. Taken in winter. And this is a hill behind City Hall, behind Manabi Gakuen, which is the continuing education center. And you can kind of get an overlook of the river down there. And 2016 student delegation we've got here. And there's actually Yoshie-san is in the background there. She's you can't see her right now, but she is here today.
Holding Jen. Kai.
I can't actually, I noticed last time too, my mouse was all over the photos. I can't see where my mouse is, so that's why I can't really point them out. So, but she's the woman from the left, the two kids, and then she's the woman there. And right next to her is actually May Kawamura, who worked in our office for a while. And Mrs. Kimura is right next to her. She's hosted a lot of people from Hot Springs. And here are our 2016 delegates. You could see probably by the expressions on their faces that they're very tired. They just got off the train. That's the Shinkansen, the bullet train station that we're at there. Somebody's half asleep there. And you can see Mr. Coleman, Clifton Coleman in the back there. We talked about him last time, but one of the most instrumental figures throughout the program. If you're just tuning in for this is your first time, of course, unfortunately, he passed away, but we still look back at photos of him and remember what a great guy he was. So I did definitely want to include him again this time.
And had such a tremendous impact on every student that he helped prepare and who traveled with him to Japan. And there's
Absolutely.
Callie Dodd. I think Karen Dodd's on watching this evening. There's Callie on that trip.
Callie over on the left. Lindsay is there too. I don't know if Dawn's watching, but Lindsay is the girl over on the right. And this is probably the next morning when everybody's a little bit more awake, heading to school. And you can see when we first start meeting the students, everybody always gets excited. And pretty much any school we go to, they usually have some kind of welcome ceremony, and they gather all the kids, usually in the gym, or if they have an auditorium, they do it there. And each school is different in how they perform these ceremonies. Some of them do like musical performances. Some of them will do a kendo or a traditional swordsmanship demonstration. Some of them do like archery and stuff like that. So here they are.
Oh, I'm sorry. In the gyms, always interesting that in gymnasiums in Japan, they don't have bleachers like we do here in our school gyms, but people can come and stand along the railings at the top, or the gymnasiums that I've been to anyway. They don't have the traditional bleachers like we do.
Right. Yeah, I think most of them don't in the same sense, like the kind of pull-out bleachers that we would have at schools in the U.S. They do sometimes have like these stands that they can bring out that are from like some kind of storage area. But for the most part, yeah, anytime we bring kids to the schools, they all just, each kid just picks up a chair and sets it down. So all these chairs and stuff gets done in like 2 minutes because all of the student body is there. So here they are probably giving some kind of greeting. Yep, and this is probably them giving like a school cheer based on motions of his arms there is what I would say. And them crowding in afterwards in our kind of like our break room. We usually take our delegates to this like some kind of break room or meeting room at each school, like in between the classes or the gatherings that we take them to. And so a lot of the times the students at the school will come and make their way in there, even though they should be in class. And here they are exchanging during a class. I believe this was an English class, so they were probably doing some kind of practice on the whiteboards. There's Michael Kelly Jr. is the delegate there. And that should be Callie, right?
Yes, that's correct. There's Kelly.
Lindsay, of course, writing her own name there. And it says on the board there, did Mount Fuji erupt in the 20th century, 1900 to 1998? So yeah, they were doing some kind of activity where, out of their like notebook, where they wanted to involve our delegates. So they would have them read stuff out of the book and then ask the Japanese students questions and see if they could figure it out. So Lindsay's probably making up her own question there after reading the book. This is the blackboard there that day. Our new friends, name, age, hobbies. How's your expression about Hanamaki? Oh, probably like what's your impression is what was meant to be said there. Lots of smiling faces as always. Looks like they're doing some origami there. And lunchtime, school lunch. School lunch, I guess I should probably say this because it's usually said, but for most schools, students will prepare. And when I say prepare, I don't mean that they cook the food, but they will like dish it out. Like there's no like lunch ladies in most schools. Like they'll just get these big pots of whatever it is, if it's soup or like trays of the food, and they will have a select group of students whose turn it is to be doing the dishing out stand behind like a desk or a counter or something, and they'll serve all the students. Everybody will take it back to their table and eat, basically. Most school lunches are eaten in the classrooms rather than cafeterias. There are some schools that have cafeterias here, but it's more of an exception rather than a rule. They're enjoying school lunch together there.
It's always interesting when student delegations visit here, what their impression is of the busy, bustling cafeterias that we have here in the United States, and what a contrast it is. Our students are just as struck by the opposite of being able to eat in their classroom and sit down and have a quiet, calm meal served by other students.
Yep. Sports, Michael Kelly Jr. there showing off his basketball skills. You can see over on the left there, it's kind of blurry, but even his own fellow delegates are like, wow. Doing shodol, which is calligraphy.
There's Kai and Guinness.
And there's me low-key flexing there on the blackboard. Somebody's taking photos. Yeah, what we would do is it's important to know the stroke order, basically. This is something that I usually tell the delegates, but you don't just like develop your own style of handwriting. Each stroke in a kanji character is like officially set. So you do this stroke first, and then this stroke second, and this stroke third. And I don't want to dwell on that too long, but I'm kind of like a language nerd, so that's what I was showing them there, I think. They are doing their own. The one that they're writing there is like friend. Looks like everybody's practicing with that one. And then he's writing something else. I'm not sure what he's continuing. It's an unfinished character. We've got friend, courage is written there as well. And then here's everybody with their final words. It looks like he actually wrote all the way on the right there, what he was starting to write there before that I couldn't tell. He wrote karate.
Oh, nice.
A little trivia about the word karate. It actually means literally empty hand. So like fighting without weapons, right? And it looks like we were saying goodbye there to those students leaving the school for the day. Selfies, of course. And we usually take a group photo as well. And this is most likely taken from the bus window. A lot of the students will stand outside until the bus is like no longer in view, and they'll just keep waving.
That's such a great Japanese tradition. It's not just at schools, it's even at hotels. When the bus pulls away from a hotel, and many times there's people from the onsen or the hotel that stand in front and wave to us.
Right, yeah, the seeing off kind of mentality is pretty strong here, yeah. Meeting with Mayor Ueda, and he was the mayor then, he's still the mayor now as well. And there's Mr. Coleman shaking his hand. Mr. Coleman ended up meeting many mayors, including Mayor Ueda many times. Mayor Ueda, of course, likes to greet everybody individually, shakes hands, gets to know all the delegates. This is probably at the welcome party. Usually when we have these kind of official welcome parties, this is where all of the delegates will meet their host families. And so we kind of hold this, well, it's like a potluck party. Usually the families will bring their own food and stuff that they cooked. And so we hold it so that they can kind of get used to each other in like a communal setting before splitting up into individual families.
Oh, Mr. Omori.
Over at Higashi High, yep.
Yes.
So it's the vice principal and the principal over at Higashi High.
Futoshima.
Higashi High School is sister schools with Lakeside, by the way. And Higashi High School is also famous throughout Japan and overseas as well if you're in the baseball community for producing major league players. Basically, if you're following baseball recently, you'll know of Shohei Ohtani, who was a graduate of Hanamaki Higashi, the school that you're looking at right here.
And Kikuchi Yusei.
Yeah. There's actually a kind of long lineage. I'd have to go and look up all the names because there's actually more than I even remember. But
they both played in the Major League All-Star game a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember there was a photo of them, the two of them, like meeting up. Here's at Higashi. We're just heading around, participating in classes. And taking group photos together. Table tennis. We usually like to have them participate as much as possible. So especially things like gym class is something that you can just immediately jump into, even if you lack any kind of communication skills. So a lot of the times when we go to schools, they'll almost definitely participate in some kind of physical activity. You can see them here. They did volleyball, table tennis, of course, basketball. Mr. Coleman, very skilled at basketball as well. Some singing and stuff too.
Oh, that was when everybody sang "Let It Go." Wasn't that there was several years where that was the song that everybody sang when we visited?
They might have been doing it here too. Yeah, I remember last time that was when May was holding up the sheet of paper. That's what they were singing then too. But yeah, it was for a couple of years. It was like all that anybody ever wanted to sing. Oh, this.
Minecraft.
For some reason, they had some Minecraft boxes in the back there.
Some things cross cultures.
Right.
Oh.
This is tea ceremony here. So she's actually serving a traditional confection, I guess is the best way to translate it. They usually serve those before the tea, and then when you get your tea, you eat your confection and drink the tea.
They're usually, a lot of times they're made with bean paste, so it's a very different texture, or rice, and so it's very different, rice flour, so it's very different than our confections are.
Yeah, and I usually have to explain as well, because there's no good translation for things like uncle, which is like like red bean paste and stuff. So when you say bean paste, people think of like Bush's beans in English. It's not. It's nothing like that. It's like a sweet bean that we don't really use much in like Western cooking. So I want to always caution people when they think like, ew, beans, like that's not what we're talking about.
It's more like the texture of really firm cookie dough.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Or fudge or something, that texture.
Yeah. These guys, this photo reminded me of them like being in detention or something. They're probably just waiting.
Waiting.
Yeah. But this is like in the principal's office, I think. And just participating in class. Oh yeah. Some of the groups like to do some poses as we get on the bus. So these guys did their serious pose, and then, if I'm not mistaken, their wacky pose as well. There's more waving while we're in the bus. This is at Doamura. Miyazawa Kenji Doamura is the Fairytale Village. And I showed some shots of this last time too, but for any of those who are watching for the first time, it's kind of like this fun house that has a lot of different themed rooms based on the fairy tales that were written by a famed fairy tale author. He's also a scientist and poet, but among other things, fairy tale author Miyazawa Kenji, who was a great figure here in Hanamaki. So this is at his kind of like a fun house, Fairytale Village. At the gift shop as well. I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Coleman there on the right have been there so many times. This is at the Kumagai residence. So it's like this kind of historical home. I don't believe anybody actually lives there now. It's more of like a city property that's usually maintained by the city and kind of watched over. But they, as we're on official city business, we do get the key and let our delegates in to take a look, so they can kind of see like these really old school traditional constructions, how houses used to be back in the day. Just walking the streets before so this shot here, we're probably heading to the Butokuden, which is like a traditional martial arts facility where we could practice archery, which is what they're doing in these shots. And we had official archery teachers, masters there, who volunteered their time very graciously to teach them from the ground up, basically, like from picking up the arrows, how to hold the bows, postures and aiming and all sorts of things. Of course, traditional archery. So if you're coming from a Western archery background, some of the ways that they hold the bow might look very different.
That's such a wonderful opportunity for students. I've been to Japan several times, and I've never been to the school where they shoot for those archery experiences. So the kids who go really do get some very unique opportunities as student delegates.
Yes, definitely. And we don't always take everybody to do this either. We like to kind of vary each group so that they each somewhat have their own unique experiences. We'll have to take you here sometime, Mary. Butokuden is very close to here, so we could actually walk there from City Hall, I believe. Just doing all sorts of archery. Here's the group photo at the end. This is at Gaby Gorge. It's not in Hanamaki, but it's a very scenic place that visitors from Hot Springs like to go to, because traditionally we end up taking them there. So it kind of started out that we took some groups there, and then those groups came back to Hot Springs and then told the other groups, you got to go check that out. And then those groups wanted to go, and it's ended up becoming part of like a place that we almost always take visitors to now.
It's so beautiful, and it reminds so many people from Arkansas of the Buffalo River.
Ah, gotcha, yeah. Doing more wacky poses. This was a very excitable group, I'll tell you that. It's there they are. May was with us that day, May Kawamura. She's showing them the little stones. Not stones, they're more like they're kind of like pottery almost. Yeah.
Little clay balls, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Clay balls is probably the best one, but they're like kilned. I don't know what the word is. Somebody's watching this right now and it's screaming that word into the monitor that I can't think of. But
they each have a word stamped into them, or a character stamped into them.
Yeah, so some of them have a character that means like luck. Some of them have happiness or like love or something. And the reason is there's a hole there on the other side of the river, on the side of the cliff, that you can see. You can see what Michael Kelly Jr. there. He's winding up to throw it. You basically, I think they're like 50 cents each or something. You buy whichever one that you want to wish for, if it's happiness or luck or wealth or something like that, and you try to throw it into that hole. And looking at this photo, it's a little bit deceiving. It's actually very far.
Very few people make it.
Yeah, very few people make it, but those that do are met with thunderous applause from the whole group, basically. Mr. Coleman enjoying a snack there at the board.
because in Japan, ice cream is awesome. The dairy in Japan is wonderful, but especially ice cream. And they have really crazy flavors too. That might look like vanilla or peach, but you could get there could be something that looks just like that. That's, rutabaga, or not rutabaga, horseradish. That's, one time I had a horseradish.
Wasabi, yeah.
It is not
all
good.
sorts of,
I'm sure people like it, but I don't care for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of flavors that you probably wouldn't have over there. There's sesame and stuff like that as well.
Right.
But for the most part, they're
those are really good.
Yeah. This is at the Hanamaki station, so they're probably getting ready to leave, saying their goodbyes to the host families and posing for photos.
Oh, and the tears.
Yes, always.
Oh.
Usually from both sides.
Yes. And then you have to quickly get on the train.
Oh, yeah. That's that's the thing about trains in Japan. They're almost never late, to the point where, like, if you're just like a regular businessman on a regular train, and I'm not even talking about the Shinkansen, just regular run-of-the-mill trains here, the non-bullet trains, if they're late for any reason, it's so rare that they'll often write notes for each passenger going to work to tell their boss they were late because of the train, because if they didn't have that note, nobody would believe them. Here's 2016 spring. A similar shot from before, if you remember the one I took up from that hillside during winter. Well, here it is in spring.
Oh, the cherry trees are so beautiful in Hanamaki.
Mm-hmm. You can see them kind of scattered out throughout this is a somewhat residential area. So there's a bunch of them in the front there, but if you also look closely in the back, they're in between each of the houses. There's lots of cherry blossoms as well. Sakura along the river. This is at a very popular local park. I think we saw some shots of this park last time too, but these are some different angles this time. This is at Hanamaki Higashi High School, the high school that we saw some shots of the delegates visiting before. This is actually right outside. During spring, it's lit up by all these, pink sakura. At a shrine nearby as well. Just some bike racks. These are common to see outside of schools or train stations and stuff. Lots of people will take bikes to the train station or to school. This is Shimin no Ie, which is like citizen's house. It's like a kind of community center. And this actually historically was Hanamaki's old town hall, like a very long time ago. So much so that actually, from what I read, Misawa Kenji, when he passed away, had a memorial service to him, like in his honor, at this building. And it's still maintained to this day. Obviously, City Hall is not in this building anymore. We have, a big regular City Hall that I'm actually sitting in right now. But this is down the road, basically. And koi nobori is like koi streamers. Common sight during spring. 2016 Citizens Delegation. There's Dr. Oatsfall with Mary in the background there. It's usually our first meetings after not seeing each other for a year, so lots of smiling on both sides. This is at the welcome reception, probably on the first night, I believe, at the hotel.
At Osawa Onsen, yes.
Yep. So everybody got to wear their yukata there.
It's interesting when you go to the onsen, which is like a bathhouse. You enjoy the baths, but all of the rooms in Japan, not just at the onsen, have kind of a cotton bathrobe, and these even had covers that you wear over them. And so after the baths, you can wear this to this wonderful dinner. So it's basically like you get to go to your nice dinner, very comfortable, relaxed, and the entire environment of the onsen. It's just so peaceful and relaxing and such a great place to enjoy true Japanese culture.
Yeah, definitely. And yukata is like it's very common. It's a type of kimono, right? I explained this last time too, but kimono is not like one specific thing. Kimono just means like wear thing. It's almost like ubiquitous to clothing. Obviously, people wear Western clothes here nowadays, but historically speaking, that's where the origin of the word comes from. So this is a type of kimono. Yukata is more of like it's especially popular during spring and summer because it's like a very light version of the clothing. So it's really popular at onsen, especially, or certain resorts or hotels. And when you go there, usually they'll give it to you. They'll leave it on your bed or something, and you can kind of feel free to wear it around, to dinner or whatever, just like you were saying, Mary. So it's definitely something you should try out if you come here. Here is at a shrine nearby as well. Like you were saying, there's shrines all over the place. So I've probably got tons of them dotted out throughout these photos. And
a shrine is a Shinto shrine, whereas temples are Buddhist temples, correct?
Yeah, for the most part in this area, probably so. There's different sects of Buddhism, right? So this is actually a very complicated thing that I'm probably not qualified to get into too much, but yeah. These huge trees also you'll find at a lot of shrines. Miyazawa Kenji Museum, a place we take most delegates to. So here they are visiting the museum as well. And doing some wanko soba. And wanko soba, I think we talked about last time too, but basically is an old tradition here. And it was born from basically this, I don't want to say legend because some people are going to tell me, no, it really happened. And it must have happened because how else do we have this tradition if it didn't? But basically they say that there was a feudal lord back in the feudal days that was visiting Hanamaki and was treated to soba noodles, which are like, wheat-based noodles that are kind of a popular dish. And so he was given a bowl of them and he finished it and turned around and said more. And he loved the noodles and wanted some more. And he kept ordering more and more and more. So they kept bringing him more and more. And so that turned into a tradition, which nowadays is also kind of a competition. You can go to wanko soba restaurants and you can just eat it normally as a regular meal, but you can also tell them you want to do the competition with, your group of friends or whoever you're at the restaurant with, and they'll set it up for you and they'll bring out like dedicated waiters or waitresses behind you that will keep refilling your bowl one after another. And that sounds like a lot, and it can be, but it's important to note that in each bowl, there's only one mouthful of noodles, basically. So you have to try to see who can eat the most in the smallest amount of time, basically.
And these are, look at those stacks. They are buckwheat noodles. So it's not just like a normal.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's Joe Philippek in the back there, who I believe had the top amount. I think he beat out all the citizens. This citizen delegation had some members from ASMSA as well, I believe. So
yes, it was the year we signed the sister school agreement between ASMSA and Hanamaki Kita.
Yeah. And so he ended up beating out the other students and the adults. And there he is, feeling it afterwards, I guess. The Citizens Delegation Welcome Party. So this is another thing that they usually hold for the citizens. When we have students, it's usually like a welcome party with the host families. But for citizens, it's more of a thing that they would rent out the hotel lobby for and have a lot of local dignitaries and also just regular folks, citizens that are interested would come over and hang out with the delegation.
So many familiar faces.
Yeah. Mr. Fujiwara. There's a familiar face.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay. And May.
Yep. Kohei and May. And since we had citizens then too, we also had, or not citizens, students, along with the citizens group, we also had some students come over and hang out as well. And everybody's trying on their hanten. which usually we give to citizens delegates when they come, because you guys come during the Hanamaki festival, Hanamaki Matsuri, right? And so we usually like to have these hanten specially made for each delegate. And if you can read Japanese, you can see there it says Hot Springs Hanamaki on the collar to our right, and then each delegate's name written in Japanese on the collar on the left. So everybody got those as well. And then we did some dancing. It was a common thing to do during festival time, but we did it at the lobby there, basically. And this kid was really getting into it. I don't think he meant to make that hand gesture there, but it makes me laugh, so I threw it in here. Chusonji? Yeah, this is Chusonji.
Yes.
Yeah, we also went to Shosonji, but this is, yeah, if you look at the building on the right there, that's pretty indicative of Chusonji. This is still there as well. So this is basically a big temple that we sometimes take citizens delegates to, and sometimes educators as well. It's usually not as much something that we bring the students to, but once in a while we might.
Well, and it's a UNESCO cultural heritage site as well. Isn't it, Chusonji?
It almost definitely is, but I almost say like anywhere you look in Japan is like a UNESCO and cultural intangible heritage or something.
Yes, absolutely.
Gets registered right. Yeah. This is taking them out to Gaby Gorge, and on that day it was actually raining, so you can see when it's raining, they actually put a roof over the boat. And I don't have photos of this in this set, but during winter they actually put kotatsu out on the boat as well. So if you ever come here in winter, I don't think you have, Mary, right?
No, not ever, not yet.
And, yeah, not yet. The kotatsu are heated tables, basically. So you sit at around the table and you put your feet underneath it, and it heats up. So that's kind of a common household item. I have one at my house. Very useful during winter. I ended up falling asleep under mine one day and burned the hairs off of my legs when I woke up. So definitely got to be careful with them, but yeah. Common sight over at the gorge, seeing the ducks, because they know they're going to get fed. Oh, this is I think I showed you this last time too. Kamoshka, which is like a mix between a deer and a goat. It's kind of like a deer goat. It's a very strange animal, but it's kind of a rarity out here. So I always try to take a photo whenever I see one. Just a view out of the boat there. It's a very scenic area. And downstream, we actually get off the boat, which is that area where one of our students, Michael Kelly Jr., before was throwing the little clay ball into the wall. So these guys tried their best as well. You can even see the local wildlife here, the koi down in the river, the fish, like I said, the ducks. Here, this looks like Higashi, this looks like Higashi. I'm just going off of their clothing. Higashi High School. So we had our citizens doing some calligraphy. There's Robert. And he was writing power. And of course, whenever we head down the halls, if there's students actually in class at that time, they're almost definitely going to drop what they're doing and start screaming at us. So that's probably what's happening in this shot. That's why they're laughing there. This is at Nambu Bijin, famous sake brewery. And there's the president there as well. And of course, Mary.
Yes.
And Robert and Mr. Sasaki, the president of the International Exchange Association here in Hanamaki.
Yes, I've been very fortunate to visit that sake brewery several times. In fact, a young man from Arkansas actually spent, I think, about 2 years there learning all about how to brew sake. So we have a long relationship with Nambu Bijin. They've been so kind and hospitable to us over the years.
Yeah, definitely. And they're quite famous throughout Japan as well. A very, very big brewery here.
Yes, very very good premium sake.
Yeah. These are some of the barrels, the kind of traditional barrels that they would store it in. This is a tea ceremony. So this would be the tea master sitting down by her pot and the equipment and serving to the citizens there. And this is at Otamura no Ie, which is, I showed shots of this last time as well. It's a community, kind of it's a traditional house, but it was turned into a community center over in a region in Hanamaki called Ota. So there's our delegates enjoying some tea. This is right outside the building that they were just having tea in, meeting with some local kids, because there's actually to the right, the building's to the left, but to the right down the road, there's actually a school. So almost anytime we go visit this community house and, like have tea ceremony or whatever, the local school kids will come over and hang out as well. And there they are.
And the neighboring residents or the people who come to this community center are always so kind and share snacks with us. And the edamame there you'll see it on the table. And I think there were apples as well that had been picked from their gardens that same day and prepared for us to share with us and the children. Yeah.
They almost always bring some kind of snacks and stuff, sometimes candy as well. So whatever they decide to bring on that day, basically, yeah. But edamame is kind of a popular snack here. It's very ubiquitous throughout like izakaya, like traditional bars and stuff, is like a snack that you'd have, especially like on these, hot summer days or whatever. This is at Hanamaki Kita High School. And you can see there, so the principal at the time was Mr. Shimamachi, and he's on the left, ascending to the stage there. And on the right is Corey Alderdice, the director of ASMSA. And the reason that they're going up there and they have the flags there on the table and we have this ceremony is because they were actually, as you mentioned earlier, Mary, officially signing as sister schools on this day. So there they are with the official documents there. Go ahead, Mary.
And both of these gentlemen have been so dedicated to the Sister City program and the connection between their two schools and giving their students the opportunity to feel a true connection between the students in their schools, whether it's virtual exchanges or sending student delegations back and forth to visit each other's schools.
Definitely. Corey has been here several times and stays very involved in the program. Even when he doesn't have a chance to come over, he's still orchestrating things over at ASMSA for exchange, whether it's online or whatever. Mr. Shimamachi actually is no longer a principal. There's a new principal now, but Mr. Shimamachi is also very dedicated to the Sister City program. He has his own little museum dedicated to the Sister City relationship, and he's got all sorts of cool things on exhibit there. I might have some photos of that later.
Yes. We've had the opportunity to visit there before.
Yes, yep. I think we've taken you guys just once, I believe. Mm-hmm. So here they are exchanging the documents, and they'll both sign each one, basically. And out, you can't see them here, obviously, but out in the audience is like the whole student body and all of our delegates and stuff. I think the mayor and some other people might have been in attendance. I'm not sure, but I think so. And back in the principal's office with basically the people who are going to officially sign the framed agreement, I guess is what we would call it there. So Mary, you're there, Mr. Alderdice, Mr. Shimamachi, and Mr. Sasaki, the president of the Exchange Association. And there's everybody's names. Where was this? This was over at the Cultural Heritage Center, I believe.
Yes.
That's like a figure there is of a Kagura dancer performer. This is at a great.
Ohasama?
What's that?
Is it near Ohasama or East Midoriya?
Yeah.
Ohasama.
Yes, yeah. They're very well known for making wine, so they're also growing grapes like all over the place there. And here they are. And Mary, again, with the grapes. This was at the Hanamaki Matsuri Festival, but there you got the delegates in the shot are holding a giant banner for like the national sports tournament. I don't want to say tournament, like festival or something like that, held in Iwate. Iwate, by the way, I have to stop myself. Iwate is the prefecture that Hanamaki is in, so it's kind of like a state if you're in the U.S. And dancers at the festival, Hanamaki Matsuri Festival. Some little kids waving to the delegates as well. And I like these shots of Mary meeting with an old friend.
Yes, it's so nice to see you see so many familiar faces when you're there. People who have visited here, and I've been in this position, gosh, like 12 years. And so the students who came here when they were 13, 12 or 13 or 14, they're now out of college, and so
right.
It's
yeah, 2016 Muranoie. This is actually the community center that we showed the tea ceremony at just before. And this is in fall, actually. I don't have a lot of fall photos in this set, but here's one of them.
And when we typically go in September, fall has just begun. We could see the rice fields are beginning to turn and a few leaves, but so it's interesting to see the later fall pictures.
Yeah, definitely. And inside the community center, there's this little spot, obviously not real horses, but like, reconstruction, reenactment of what the scene would have looked like back when it really was in use as a traditional house. They actually had a spot to keep their horses indoors as well. And the whole structure has been maintained as it traditionally was built as well. So that's kind of why I wanted to take a shot of the roof here. This one I just thought was funny. So kind of a traditional scarecrow looking figure there. More shots of the interior of that place, because you don't really get to see it when I'm focusing on people like drinking tea and stuff, but the building itself is quite beautiful as well. Traditional store places and like ovens and stuff for rice.
Oh, wow. So that's where the rice would be stored.
Mm-hmm. This is that room that we had tea ceremony there in before. And up top, also above the doors, very intricate carvings.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And outside as well, there's an old water wheel. Here's the inside of it. You can see that they would use it to like grind things up in there. And this is at a building right outside Ota Muranoie. It's kind of inside the same complex, but this is where they would do sakiori. And sakiori literally means like rip and weave. And it's an old like traditional craft. And you can see that they are using these traditional wooden machines as well. But the cloth that they use is taken from like old kimonos and old fabrics and stuff. So that's where the words rip and weave come from. You basically rip up old fabrics or clothes or whatever and recreate or reuse them into the creation of something new. So here's some of the old torn fabrics. And some of the stuff that they would make out of them, like coasters, bags, all sorts of things.
You can even make, I've seen people with jackets, and you can do all sorts of things with those.
And usually when we take visitors to this place, we let them have a crack at it and make their own thing, and they get to keep it.
I have several coasters.
Yeah, me too.
That's about all I've ever been able to make.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't think I could make a bag or a jacket or anything. That's for sure.
Oh,
more shots of spring here.
Yeah, spring is so beautiful.
This is just a downtown road that's kind of lined with sakura.
I've come to the determination we need more cherry trees in Hot Springs.
Sure. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I think we need to have a large area like that that's filled with cherry trees so we can
It's a good kind of area.
Yeah, so that we can celebrate spring in the same manner as you do in Hanamaki.
Definitely, yeah. This here is just at the top of a roof of a shrine. And I just thought it was interesting, so I took a shot of it. During the blooming season as well, usually the sidewalks and stuff are just covered in, blankets of pink petals. And other flowers too. See, there's a good shot of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Wow.
And here's the other direction. This is outside Hanamaki Higashi High School. Remember I told you before that they have a lot of sakura there. And the 2017 Students Delegation, featuring, right in this photo, we have Raymond's McNary. And we actually had a lot of, it was a pretty packed delegation that year, if I remember right.
Yes, I think so. There's Jenna Schaefer.
Yep. We
saw her parents and her brother in the last episodes where they had both been. So this is when Jenna
Yes. Schaefer family, has everybody, I think everybody from the Schaefer family has been here.
Family has been to Hanamaki.
Yep. Again, like I said before, whenever we come to schools, they often do physical activities together. So, and this time showing off like gymnastics and stuff too. They give us a chance to show off if we have any like special talents on our side.
Oh, there's Belle.
There's Belle playing volleyball, I think. Yeah. Here is itegami, which we briefly talked about last time too. So these are like traditional hand-painted postcards, which are done with like watercolors. And our wonderful teacher, Mrs. Makiko Teri, there in the center, she gives us a class. She hosts a class for us every time we bring delegates, like a private class. And she's a master of these itegami postcards. So she teaches us how to do them. And not yet. I thought I had another shot, but basically,
she taught hundreds of from Hanamaki, from Springs, how to do origami, I think. She has the most amazing smile and warmth and is so welcoming to all of our visitors from Hot Springs.
Definitely, yeah. This is at the Marukan Restaurant at the top of the Marukan Department building, famous for their ice cream, which is 25 centimeters tall or around 10 inches. And Mr. Bruce Orr. You can actually see them there. Mr. Orr and Mrs. Shin, Don Shin there in the center were the two chaperones for that year.
Because we had so many students.
Yes, it was a big group.
I think we had 21 students.
Yoshie-san is also there on the far left.
And Yoshie that year, I think, as well, didn't she? She had work and then at home.
Yep. Yoshie-san has also been a host, and she's now the assistant manager of our office. She wasn't even in our office that year. She was in a different section.
That's right, yeah.
Giving like self-introductions at the welcome dinner there. This is probably, I think the year before this or this year was around when I started teaching the kids how to speak basic Japanese. So they would all give their self-introductions and like a simple fact about them, like their hobby or what they enjoy doing in Japanese. This is like a traditional, like it's almost like a kind of Three Stooges style comedy skit here. There's actually 4 people in this photo, and underneath the jacket is somebody whose hands are actually in the front there, controlling what's going on. So, they do this like comedy routine where it looks like the person just can't handle how they eat, but it's actually somebody else controlling. Well, you got to be there. It doesn't come across great in the photos. As you can see, it gets kind of messy. So probably the next day there at school, and I believe that's Higashi High School, and computer class. And they did like these little, I think, PowerPoint or something presentations about each other. And that is, I believe, Scarlett Gooch there in the back.
Yes, it is.
And then in the far right, Jenna Schaefer. Yep. Grant Kinsey there, and you can see over on the left the PowerPoints of them reading about each other. And they had actually a softball game going on then, Higashi softball game. So we came and cheered them on and got hats and banners and towels and all sorts of stuff. And got to pose with them at the end as well.
So fun. That's a very unique opportunity for our students to be there and be able to attend a softball game.
I don't think we've ever taken any other, at least while I've been here, any other group to a Higashi softball game. So this was a very unique year. Yeah. Then just hanging out with the students afterwards. Probably saying goodbye here. Yep. And then we went to Doamura, the Fairytale Village, and this is it's like a little creek that runs through the Fairytale Village and has some koi in it. So if you clap your hands, the fish are like very trained to, if they hear the clapping, or I don't know, do fish feel the vibrations? I don't know. Don't yell at me if I don't understand that, but they basically are trained that somebody's going to feed them if they do that. So anytime you clap your hands, they all come swimming towards the bridge. There, like I said, it's kind of like a fun house, and you can't really see it in this photo, but to the left there on the wall is this like big fun house mirror. So they're all taking photos there. And inside the Fairytale Village, lots of fun exhibits to like interactive exhibit rooms. And we also took them to GBK. And that day they actually put a little, they got so used to us coming there every year, they put this little American flag at the end of the boat.
And what you take the wooden boat down the river, but then on the way back there, the boat driver sings this ancient Japanese song. And so it just makes it even that much more special because you have the feeling of being in this beautiful place and then the history and the song. It's a lovely experience.
Yep, each boat driver is also a singer. So that's a big part of this. I actually wish I had some video. I would definitely show it, but I do not. More of the ducks. This little like shrine area inside of a cave as you go down the stream as well, or the river, and people will throw coins. That's what that mat there is for, to collect coins, donations to this little shrine. And get some beautiful photos with the lighting out there. And everybody trying their best to make it into the hole. And yeah, here's a shot of the actual little clay balls there and each of the characters on them. You can also buy these little fish pellets. So, and those are also pretty cheap. They're like 50 cents or something. So you can buy a bag of those and then feed the fish on your way down the river. That's why these fish are so huge, because just day in and day out, they're just getting fed by all these boats coming down the river. And they also usually, this is Torin Davis, I believe is his last name.
Yes.
And they some of us, what's that?
It's our fire chief's son.
Oh, yeah. They give us some chances to drive the boat ourselves. And sometimes we drive it straight into the beach head. So they have to like dig us out of it. Enjoying some of the riverside snacks there. Some.
Oh, yum.
What is it?
Fish on a stick.
Fried, but it's like, it's like grilled is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, grilled fish. Hot Springs, welcome to Hanamaki Kita High School. And Scarlett was giving a singing performance there. She's a great singer. And I believe this was Luke Nestor.
Yeah.
Both of the Nestor twins have come here, but this time was Luke, who could also play the piano.
And their sister Maddie too. Maddie came maybe before you.
Oh,
No,
maybe. Yeah. Was it?
No, you were there because it was in 2014.
2014. Okay, yeah. Oh, we might have actually already seen photos of her. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, you already saw her.
At Kita, we are also given the opportunity to practice koto, a traditional harp. There's Raymond in the back practicing. And they also did some kind of game. I don't know if maybe we can see it. Oh, everybody's just having a good time. Here it is. Yes, this is the basically somebody in the group would get blindfolded, and the rest of the group would have to tell them where to put each piece of the face on the page. So everybody would end up with some kind of like Picasso at the end.
We do that in Japanese class when we have groups come from Hanamaki.
Gotcha.
They go to the Japanese class at ASMSA and play the same game.
Right on. Nice. Yeah, you can see, actually, this was a very good job done here. Everything is mostly where it should be. Saying goodbye at the end, again, at Shin Hanamaki Shinkansen Station. And the tears.
Oh.
A lot of students, I tell them when they first get here, look to your left and look to your right, and one or two of you are going to be crying at the end, and everybody's like, I'm not going to cry, and then pretty much everybody's crying at the end. Of course, it's bittersweet. There's smiles and crying. I'm glad you got to make new friends and, create a new family overseas, basically. Mr. Orr and Kohei there. Dawn, and actually that's Tetsuko Umemura. She's a radio personality over here. I work with her a lot at the radio station, and she hosted Dawn that year.
Yes, and she's hosted Dawn more than once, I think. They're good friends.
She's hosted Lindsay as well, Dawn's daughter.
Yes, good friends.
Good friends, definitely. Saying goodbye on the Shinkansen. How are we doing on time? You want to continue or you want to call it?
2017. We probably should. 2017. All 2017?
Marukan, no, well, here, I'll show you. We're at slide 584. We've made it to since last time. I've still not even done adding photos, but I've still got up until 852. So.
Okay. Well, we probably should call it quits for this time. Maybe we can do another one where we continue, because it's nice for people to, share the experience together with others who were there with them on the trip, or to see their children.
Sure.
So how many are for 2017? We could go ahead and get through.
Let's see. Here's each set. We've got a few for the Marukan reopening, Dogwood Trees, and then Citizens of 2018. So for 2017, we did everything except these last two sets.
Well, then let's just do the last set. Yeah, the Marukan. Right.
So Marukan, the department store, up at the top of this building is where the restaurant was that I was showing you the students eating ice cream. And Marukan actually shut down in, I think it was 2016, but it reopened in 2017 after crowdfunding. And the reason it shut down in the first place was because they were worried about structural integrity in the event of like a future earthquake, of which, of course, Japan gets all the time. So safety first, they shut down the building. But it's such an iconic part of the downtown area here, and especially the restaurant on top, and the ice cream and everything they serve there, that they actually set up a crowdfunding program. Some local businessmen actually set it up and got, I don't remember the actual total. I have to look it up again later, but it was over, it was a couple $1 million, I think, to fix the building and get it up to future earthquake code, basically. And so they were able to reopen. And they reopened under new management, but they promised to keep the restaurant as authentic to the original as possible. So they kept all of the old equipment, all of the original like Showa era decorations that people are so nostalgic for over here. And of course, the traditional maid outfits that they would wear when serving guests. And I'm sure you've seen this many times, Mary, the walls of food. Yep. These are, of course, not real. They're just these little models of the dishes that they serve. So you can actually look at what you're going to be served and the price right there. It's kind of a visual menu that's up on the walls there. And this is on display over at the Marukan now. This is something that a lot of people signed and wrote little messages on. And it says there in the big letters there is "Thank you, Marukan." And downstairs, they used to have this department store down there, but when they reopened, they completely redid it and set up a new cafe and little shops and stuff as well. So if you haven't been to the Marukan here in Hanamaki since 2016 or 17, come check it out next time you're here because it's brand new. And you can also have the ice cream and stuff, as you always have, upstairs in the restaurant. And here's when they reopened. It was packed. There was actually people at the door.
I've never been there when it's not busy.
Oh, yeah. And when they were originally shutting down, there was a line. People wanted to get one more meal at the Marukan restaurant. So there was a line, and this is on the 6th floor, I think. It's like all the way up the top, right? And there's stairs going up each floor. There was a line out all flights of stairs and around the building waiting to get in. Here's more shots of the models of the food. Okay, so that was the Marukan. 2017 dogwood. So last time I told you that we got dogwood trees from the United States, which was kind of a gift in remembrance of when Japan gifted the United States sakura cherry blossoms 100 years ago. So we got dogwoods 100 years later from the United States, and they were given to a couple cities throughout the country, but we were one of them. And so we held a planting ceremony, which I showed photos of last time, at the Hanamaki Nitobe Memorial Museum. So this is kind of a 2017 update on how they were going. And actually, when I was taking the photos, some people showed up while I was taking the photos, and we just chat for a little bit. And I found out they were visiting from Tokyo to come and check them out, which was pretty amazing.
That is wonderful. And you can see the dogwood blossoms on there.
Yes, exactly. So for people that don't know, Tokyo is very far from here. You have to take a bullet train ride.
Well, it was very special for Hanamaki to be selected. I mean, there were soil samples, and the climate had to be evaluated to make sure that these trees would thrive there. And so it was a very special project to be included in. That's so nice that it's a draw for people from across the country.
Yeah, definitely. And so when they found out I was taking, photos for city PR, they gladly allowed me to take shots of them. Very nice to see them. So here's some of the blossoms.
And dogwood trees are so common in Arkansas. So in the spring, you can drive and just see them dotted throughout the woods.
Right. Yeah, it's not as a common sight here for sure. Here's the plate. A gift from the people of the United States of America to the people of Japan. And of course, the official initiative was Friendship Blossoms in 2015. Okay, and so if we do another one, we'll continue on from 2018 Citizens next time.
Yes, that was the 25th anniversary. So wonderful. Thank you so much. I see Yoshi in the back, I think.
Oh, can you see us now? Okay.
Yeah, you now. We're back on. Thank you so much. I know this was truly quite a labor to put to go back through all of the photos and put them all together. So thank you very much for doing the homework on it and then spending time with us narrating it as well.
Yeah, no problem.
So we really appreciated it. And Paul, are there any questions? And I've seen I think there's a few comments.
Yeah, I mean, it was mainly that you can tell that this is a very close-knit community, and there was a lot of love and people recognizing and reminiscing a lot of the photos that were shared. So both of you will want to go back through these comments because some of them may have pertained to certain moments or photos. But I'll give a shout out to everyone who gave you guys one. We have Karen with a C says hi, Jesse and Yoshi. And
you cut out there for a second.
Karen with a C says hi.
Karen Dodd.
Hello.
Hi to Jesse and Yoshi. And the winter pictures are beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
Raymond, Donna says hi. Lots of people talking back and forth about the photos. Robert says, I love seeing the pictures of Cliff.
Definitely. Yeah, me too.
Corey, I've had hot mustard jellyfish and squid ink.
Oh,
probably referring to ice cream, right?
Ice cream, yes. We were talking because Corey and I both bought these huge ice cream cones that were wasabi, and I think Corey may have finished his. I did not finish mine. It was one of the worst things I've ever.
Just a quick note about that. There's actually like an official ice cream company here that puts out, like the packaged ice cream at supermarkets. It was like a year or two ago. They actually, for like a month, had mayonnaise ice cream. And I had to just keep my mouth shut and just not buy it, but not say anything, because that was possibly in all my years here, one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen.
Well, maybe it was good, but about the best ice cream I've ever had. There was one time in, it was apple and mango ice cream. It was mixed together. And in Japan, apple juice isn't like apple juice in the United States. In the United States, apple juice is very, very sweet. I mean, sickeningly sweet almost if it's straight. But in Japan, it's almost vinegary. It's not
It's more of a cider here, yeah. I don't think what they call apple juice here is actually apple cider. And so a lot of times it confuses people that come from native English countries as well.
Right. So, but it was tart, and the mango is very, very good. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely tastes good.
Carry on, Paul.
In response to the ice cream just mentioned, Donna said, ew. Let's see. Corey also said local artist Allison Parsons did the special artist version of the agreement.
Oh, right. That was the thing that we were showing that each person signed there as well. Yep. Shout out to the artist.
Raymond agrees with Mary's cherry blossom tree proposal for here in Hot Springs.
Yes.
And Raymond also said, Yoshi is my other mother.
Oh.
Raymond McNary is host mother here.
Well, and we in Hot Springs can't wait to welcome Yoshi, and Kai was supposed to have come just before the pandemic, or when the pandemic hit. And so we can't wait to welcome Yoshi and her son, Kai, to Hot Springs. So I know he will have lots of other mothers here in Hot Springs.
Stephanie says, love visiting with the 25th anniversary delegation.
Yeah, definitely. And we actually had, that was another big group, I think.
It was 25 people.
Yeah.
I will never forget that as long. Yeah, it was a large group.
Karen, Robert, and Donna all wanted to thank you for the photos. Donna says, called your photos lovely, Jesse.
Thank you very much.
And I agree that was very impressive, and you obviously put a lot of work into that. And
glad to hear it.
We discussed at the beginning of the program, we said this is the finale of the virtual series here with the Sister City discussions, but I mean, really we'll consider it the season finale. Obviously you have enough content to have a third just here on the photos from 2018 till however recent you were able to go, everything considered. So we can definitely plan for that. And we also discussed some cultural videos just on Japanese culture in general. So if anyone has suggestions on certain topics you're most interested in, I know between Mary and Jesse here, we can definitely deliver some good content.
Absolutely, yeah.
That would be great. That would be great. Because as I mentioned, I've done this for, I think, 13 years. And so practically every year for 13 years, I've taken a group of people, mostly adults, but students as well, to experience this unique opportunity to just be swallowed up by another culture, where you see very few Western faces while you're there. You see, everyone there is Japanese. And so it's been hard to not have that opportunity. So again, thank you, Paul and Jesse and everybody there. And just one little thing to finish up on, or before we finish up, some folks here in Hot Springs got together to send a little message of thanks and gratitude to Hanamaki for offering to be an Aragato host city. And we sang a song, and I'm not a singer, and I don't speak Japanese, and many of the other people are like me, but we gave it our best effort and sang a song. And if you look on the City of Hot Springs YouTube page or on the Sister City Facebook page, you can hear us sing that song. And we kind of covered for a little bit with trying to be clever that we had a kazoo chorus. So it was a lot of fun though. So for your listening pleasure, hopefully, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. So thank you for your hospitality, and we're very appreciative to you. Thank you.
Yeah, and we definitely, on our side, I've just started sharing the video with our staff and stuff, so we're going to hopefully share it with our citizens here in Hanamaki through city, websites and Facebook and stuff like that. So looking forward to having everybody over here see the effort that you guys gave as well. So we do appreciate it.
I'm sharing that video link in the comments with everyone.
Perfect.
Great.
All right. Any final remarks or goodbyes you'd like to say for now?
That's all. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And
yeah, thank you guys. See you next time.
Stay tuned. We'll take a break in August, but hopefully we'll have some more videos announced here shortly here for the fall. So everyone take care and be safe. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.